The United States has just passed a $40 billion aid package to Ukraine. Now, it's important to note that previous U.S. aid packages to Ukraine, providing weapons and other supplies, have stipulated that those supplies do not end up in the hands of the notorious Azov Battalion, the neo-Nazi fighting division in Ukraine.
None of the funds made available by this act may be used to provide arms, training, or other assistance to the Azov Battalion.
Now, what's particularly disturbing is that this recent package does not include this language. It does not specify that the Azov Battalion cannot receive assistance from the United States. What more, it appears that weaponry from NATO has apparently ended up in the hands of the Azov Battalion already. If you look at the Azov Battalion's official Twitter, they seem to be highlighting weapons like a Matador, which is an anti-tank weapon that has been among the weapons that NATO has provided to Ukraine. It appears they may already be getting their hands on U.S. weapons at this point. And we also have U.S. officials saying they don't know where these weapons they send to Ukraine go. They don't know who ends up getting them.
In terms of our ability to track the weapons that are going in, as you know, we don't have any forces on the ground, so it's difficult for us to do.
I couldn't tell you where the weapons are in Ukraine and whether the Ukrainians are using them at this point. They're not telling us every round of ammunition they're firing and who and at when.
Now, it's important to note that the United States is the top exporter of weapons in the world. U.S. arms flow across the planet, and there are many instances of U.S. weapons ending up in the hands of problematic individuals. When the USA withdrew from Afghanistan recently, we saw the Taliban get its hands on some U.S. high-grade military weapons and hardware, and that was in the hands of the Taliban. We've also seen in Mexico drug cartels, often armed with sophisticated U.S. military-grade weaponry. So around the world, U.S. weapons often do end up in the hands of problematic individuals. This is something that many people around the world are seriously concerned about as the USA continues to escalate its anti-Russian rhetoric, as the United States continues to pour weapons into Ukraine. Who might be on the receiving end of some of these deadly weapons?
We heard from civil rights attorney Robert Patillo, who says countries must track any weapons they supply to a foreign country to be sure to know in whose hands they end up.
Well, I think this is absolutely a mistake. We saw what happened in leaving Afghanistan, where nearly $9 billion of weaponry was left on the ground there. We have no tracking mechanism for where these weapons are going, whose hands they will go into. So not simply the Azov Battalion, but the remnants of ISIS in the Middle East, North African drug cartels that are working throughout the region will be able to buy on the black market many of these highly advanced weapon systems that normally state governments and state actors have access to. So I think it's going to be of massive concern over the course of not simply this current engagement, but over the course of the next decade to see where these weapons end up. We have real questions as to exactly why we're providing this level of assistance and what are the U.S. strategic goals and advantages hereof. We just got out of 20 years of war in the United States of America, and there's very little appetite among the citizenry to return to active conflict anywhere on this globe. So if we're going to be a even passive participant in the conflict, you're going to really have to go to the American people and explain exactly what you're doing.